Every morning the world starts quietly, one soft light at a time. Homes flicker awake, shops open. People take those first small steps into a brand new day. And in all of that ordinary movement, there's something kind of extraordinary. A moment worth noticing, a spark you feel before you even name it. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's small, but kindness shows up right on time. And every morning we choose to show up with you so we can look for that spark together.
Good morning. I'm Matt Roof, the Uncommon Kindness Guy, and this is Kindness Rising. Let's rise together.
Most teams think they have trust, but they don't. What they have is predictive trust. I trust you to deliver the same way you have in the past. That's useful, but it's not transformational because there's a deeper level. The kind of trust that makes high-performing teams possible. It's relational trust, and relational trust requires something most teams avoid: vulnerability.
This is Kindness Rising.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kindness Rising. Once again, here this morning, I'm glad you have chosen to spend a little bit of time with me this morning, waking up with a little bit of hope, humanity, and heart for your day. And this week, as we've talked about, we're talking about trust. Yesterday, we established something important. Trust is the foundation, little hiccup there. And self-trust is alignment between your values and your actions. But today we're going to move from that internal trust to team trust. And this is where the 5 dysfunctions of a team becomes incredibly practical. Patrick Lencioni, the author of this book, makes it perfectly clear. The foundation of a high-performing team is vulnerability-based trust. Not competence, not intelligence, not talent, but vulnerability. And we are going to talk about that today. Thank you again for joining me here. Mike Sullivan, welcome in. I am glad you've chosen to spend your time with me again this morning. I appreciate you more than I could ever say. Thank you. All right. So I do want to share the model that I've been talking about. We'll get a little bit academic here, not too bad, but yes, this is the 5 dysfunctions of a team model that Patrick Lencioni developed and has been preaching and teaching at organizations all around the world through his consultancy, the Table Group. And it's something that I've been leaning into. I first came across this book, I'm going to put it at 2013 approximately. And let's see, the copyright on it is 2002. So I was already late to the game when I first found this book, but it is vital. It is vital for us as leaders, as teams, to understand one thing. The absence of trust in a team and in an organization will always be a barrier to performance. And so I'm not going to get too geeky on the thing, but here's the idea. At the base of our pyramid, we have that lack of trust. By not being able to have trust, we end up with the fear of conflict. And when we're afraid of conflict, we lack commitment. And when we lack a commitment, we avoid accountability. And when we avoid accountability, there's inattention to the results, and your ultimate result is poor performance and high team turnover. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. It all starts here, creating a place where people can feel safe to be vulnerable, not over the top vulnerable, not oversharing. Not every conversation is some deep meaningful conversation, but there is relational vulnerability, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we go on here today. But I don't want to get too academic on us, but let's jump back into the comments. Good morning, Roseanne Roof. I am glad you've chosen to join here. If you're out there in the world, welcome to Kindness Rising, your morning dose of hope, humanity, and art. I'm turning off the music for just a moment whilst I finish the setup. But yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to dig in a little bit further on this idea of trust. Predictive trust is what most people think of when we talk about trust. Something like, I trust your skills. I trust you're going to do the job that you've always done. I trust that your performance will be what I expect it to be, right? Because of your past performance. That's professional trust. But what we're talking about here is relational trust. And relational trust goes way deeper, not just on our professional teams, but also in our lives. It says, I trust your intentions. I trust that you are aligned with the mission and can be able to put yourself behind, or excuse me, that you're not serving yourself. That's what I wanted to say, that you're not serving yourself above the team, right? Or at the expense of the team. That's personal trust. And there's one way to build it. One way to build it. The one way to build it is absolutely vulnerability. You can't have a high performing team without relational trust, because when intention is questioned, everything slows down. People are going to start to hedge, they'll protect, they second guess, and that protection kills performance. I introduced one of my favorite, I guess, gurus or people that we know out there in the world. I think last week or the week before, a guy named Simon Sinek. He talks about trust too in a very unique way. So let me show you what his idea of trust is and how this aligns with what Lencioni talks about as well. Absolutely. Performance versus trust. And Sinek talks about it from the perspective of trust on the battlefield with the Navy SEALs.
I've worked with the Navy SEALs, and I asked them, like, how do you pick like the guys that go on SEAL Team 6, right? Because they're the best of the best, the best, the best. And they drew a graph for me, and on one side they wrote the word performance, and on the other side they wrote the word trust. The way they define the terms is performance on the battlefield and performance off the battlefield. So this is your skills. This is, did you make your quarterly earnings, whatever, however you want to translate it, right? Performance, traditional. This is, how are you off the battlefield? What kind of person are you? The way they put it is, I may trust you with my life, but do I trust you with my money and my wife? This is what they told me. Nobody wants this person, the low performer of low trust, of course. Of course, everybody wants this person, the high performer of high trust, of course. What they learned is that this person, the high performer of low trust, is a toxic leader and a toxic team member. And they would rather have a medium performer of high trust, sometimes even a low performer of high trust, it's a relative scale, over this person. This is the highest performing organization on the planet, and this person is more important than this person. And the problem in business is we have lopsided metrics. We have 1,000,001 metrics to measure someone's performance and negligible to no metrics to measure someone's trustworthiness. And so what we end up doing is promoting or bonusing toxicity in our businesses, which is bad for the long game because it eventually destroys the whole organization. The irony is it's unbelievably easy to find these people. Go to any team and say, who's the asshole? And they will all point to the same person. Equally, if you go to any team and say, who do you trust more than anybody else? Who's always got your back? And when the chips are down, they will be there with you. They will also all point to the same person. It's the best gifted natural leader who's creating an environment for everybody else to succeed. And they may not be your most individual highest performer. But that person, you better keep them on your team.
So I think that is a great way that Cynic puts it. Absolutely. Those people who are high trust, they're able to put themselves behind the team or put the team above themselves, are able to be relationally vulnerable, right? And this is what that vulnerability actually looks like. It's not oversharing, as I said before. It's not, telling people all your deep, dark secrets, although that's okay too, in the right place with the right person when the time is right. But I'm talking about something called operational humility. Humility, excuse me. I have to be humble in my words because apparently I'm stumbling a little today. But anyway, I'm talking about operational humility. I'm talking about people who can say, I don't know. I need help. This is not my strength. You're better than this. You're better at this than I am. Maybe you can show me how. It's uncomfortable. Trust me, I've been in teams where it's uncomfortable to say those things. We're conditioned as individuals throughout our whole life, especially as we move up the ladder, whatever it is, right? To project our competence. But the moment a leader admits weakness, actually, that's when trust accelerates because the armor comes off. And when the armor comes off, collaboration begins. Thank you all for joining me here at Kindness Rising this morning. We're talking about leadership in the context of the 5 dysfunctions of a team by Patrick Lencioni, and the idea that trust, relational trust, is at the very foundation of our ability to lead organizations to the outcomes. And the idea that without it, when that armor is up and we're not able to be relationally vulnerable with our teams, nothing can move forward with success, or it's going to take a lot longer. It's going to cost a lot more money, and it's going to have significant organizational collateral damage. Absolutely down the line. Like I said, I have seen it. I have worked in organizations where everybody's armored, and it's all about the little side clicks, or how one person is able to kiss enough butt with the leader, and even though they say one thing to perhaps the CEO's face or the board, the chair of the board's face, in back rooms they're talking differently. That is a dysfunctional team. But when a team is able to sit together and say, I don't know it all. Together we are stronger. I need help with something. Help me to help you. Those kind of things. That's the team. Those are the teams that are going to be able to excel and stand out. Good morning, Adam Holroyd and Melissa Pearson Goodwin. Thank you, Melissa, for joining me. I'm excited. I'm going to tease it right off the bat because you confirmed March 3rd, Melissa Pearson Goodwin's going to be joining me here as a guest on Kindness Rising. I am excited to talk to her about some of her experiences and how she is helping people to lead with heart, to lead as humans, putting the human back in human resources. Those are the kinds of things that Melissa talks about. She's going to talk about it with me right here, in the way that kindness impacts her work. Thank you, Melissa. And Holroyd, of course, the OG. Appreciate you. I hope things are working out for you today out there in train world. All right, training the trains and the trainers. I don't know. How do you put it, Adam? You tell me. Anyway, why I bring this up, not Adam, but the idea of trust and vulnerability. Interestingly, yesterday an article came out in the Wall Street Journal, actually reporting from the Wall Street Journal, talking about the trend that's happening here in corporate America. Companies are replacing their CEOs at the highest rates in over a decade. And there's all kinds of reasons why. They talk about the research behind that and the reasons why. But one thing that's happening, the trend is moving towards younger CEOs, less tenured, often first timers in the role. And that tells us something. And that tells us that leadership forever and probably always will be, because there is validity to it, was about industry expertise, technical mastery, understanding the actual business and the business model and the everything from accounting and finance to organizational structures to share and creating shareholder equity, right? More shareholder equity, all about those business decisions. Or maybe it was about the connections that you had in the industry in order to be able to bring partnerships together through mergers and acquisitions, or institutional knowledge, even the people who came up in the organization. It's a safer bet to hire from within if things are going the way that you want, because that person has been trained. You can climb the ladder, outlast your peers, and master the system. But guess what? The system has changed. Certainly, AI and the advances in technology have driven a bunch of this change, particularly over the last 12 to 24 months. In my opinion, it's been happening a lot longer than that, but the peak in happening over the past 12 to 24 months. But here's the thing, because of that, today's challenges, the challenges in the organizations, are not primarily technical. They're actually human. It's hybrid work, it's generational shifts and understanding the emotional impact of retirements and new people coming up. It's rapid disruption and constant change, new, constant uncertainty, the foundations of the organizational structure of our actual systems in our world are so varied and changing so fast that the people who end up standing out and are able to move organizations through that complexity, through that constant uncertainty, right, are not the people who necessarily have the technical superiority. It's the people who have the ability to build trust. Leadership today is less about being the smartest person in the room. It's about building the safest room for people to grow and thrive. That's emotional intelligence. It's reading the room, admitting what you don't know, aligning people around the mission, and creating some psychological safety for your organizations. That's what we're talking about. That's the connection to trust and ultimately to performance. All right. Thank you for joining me here on Kindness Rising. Like I said, I certainly have been in organizations and on teams that have worked both ways. Certainly the lessons of the teams that were so highly political and everyone was self-serving left corporate scars on my world, of course, because I am at heart a collaborator and a trust builder and a communicator, not a person who's trying to step on others on my way up the ladder, or only concerned about my own safety. Remember, the what do they say, the oh crap, I had a good one. uh, the butts that you kick on the way up are the same ones you kiss on the way down. That is absolutely true. But high performing teams, non dysfunctional teams, they're not built, again, on predictive trust. They're built on intentional trust. And that requires vulnerability. The irony is that the old leadership model rewarded competition and protection. The new leadership model, it rewards humility and connection. Leaders who win today aren't the ones with the thickest resumes, all the credentials, all the certifications, all the uh, outcomes, proven outcomes, although it's important too. They are the ones who say, I don't know. How about let's figure this out together? It's not about controlling information or building cohorts of teams of people underneath and the haves and the have nots. That's not the way it works anymore. It's not about control, it's about alignment. It's not about protecting strength. It's about modeling trust. And in a world moving faster than ever, that trust is becoming a real competitive advantage. And as the Wall Street Journal article said, or shows, the research that was done by them, absolutely the world is moving in this way. So my point of this, because I know I have felt this way, if you've ever felt like you're on the outside because you're not aligned with that, you're not willing to go down that road, you're not willing to sacrifice your own values, your own purpose, and who you are, for the to move up the ladder, to uh, run people over along the way. It's no longer needed. I got off subject there for a second, but that's not how it works anymore. With people working remotely all over the world, a lot of things being done by contract rather than employment. The people who can be the glue and build that trust are the ones that are going to lead and grow and help their organizations to grow. Thank you. Thank you for joining me here on Kindness Rising. I come here every weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, to get up with a little hope, humanity, and heart, to rise above the noise of the day and talk about things that help us to move forward as humans. I do want to talk about the cost of holding on to that armor, of keeping that shield, of failing to be vulnerable, because teams that lack relational trust, they waste inordinate, that's the word, inordinate amounts of time and energy managing behavior instead of solving problems. How many of us have been in these exhausting meetings? Not because the work is hard, but because everyone is calculating. It's like your emotional and neuro uh, whatever, your brain is like on fire trying to calculate the emotional situation rather than being able to be free and creative with your ideas. You're spending your time saying, is it safe for me to say this? Will I look informed? It's better, the old adage, it's better to remain silent and have people think you're a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. I'm not necessarily sure that that's true, but certainly something that people lean in an environment where everyone's got their armor up. And of course, the last is, will this hurt my standing? Am I going to put myself at a point where I am personally at risk and no longer safe. Because when you're in an environment like that, people are dreading the meeting, they're avoiding that healthy debate, they hesitate to challenge those decisions, and uh, stop taking risks. They hesitate to challenge decisions and stop taking risks. And that creates what I call Swiss cheese leadership. That's my idea. It actually comes from the idea of performance management, actually, the idea that when mistakes made, it's usually not one thing, but it's that Swiss cheese that allows that error to pass through different layers. Mistakes slip through. No one wanted to ask the uncomfortable question. Risk taking drops, creativity drops, candor drops. Everyone starts lying and hiding and trying to get to where they want to be, because now our collaboration has been replaced by politics, and politics is just fear. It's fear wearing a tie. uh okay, welcome everybody. Hey Sully, thanks dude. Oh, I wasn't able to catch mornings in the lab yesterday. I appreciate that Keith was out there. He and I we go through periods where we talk a lot and then other periods where we're not talking, but we trust each other to show up, because I show up every day. He shows up every day. And when he needs something or I need something, we are there for each other, and we're able to share our worlds and our vulnerability together. Uh, yeah, absolutely. And John Anderson asked about me. All right, cool. Well, I promoted John's peptide business yesterday. It's not something that I do, but that's how we work. Euro Scott, welcome in from Germany. Join me here on Kindness Rising every day, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, which I don't know, in Germany, what is that, like 6 hours ahead or so? What time is it where you're at, Euro Scott? I am glad you're here. I'm here waking us up on the East Coast of the United States with a little hope, humanity, and heart. And I am glad you've chosen to join me, whatever time it is. And from where 2 p.m. out in Germany, over in Germany. Well, welcome. I'm sorry that the United States hockey team had to whip Germany's butt earlier this week. I'm excited about the Olympics. I'm a hockey guy. I don't know if you are, Euro Scott, but absolutely. All right. It's fun time of year with the Olympics for sure. We can handle that. Absolutely. You can handle that. It's all good. Yes, you are. There's no question about it. Germany has handled some things very well. It's been I think it's been a great mix this year for the Olympics. Not necessarily the global superpowers dominating. It's been fun to watch, and of course, I always love the stories. All right. Well, we are running down on time. Some days we fill the time so much, and other days we have a little more time for chit chat. But guess what? The good news is, even though I'm leaving here shortly, and you're going to get on over to Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends for more morning energy, getting up and getting after it, I'm going to be back here tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and we'll talk about trust some more. We're going to talk about why it's so hard, especially for high performers, to have trust. We're going to talk about what really happens when trust isn't present. And we'll talk about other things too. We'll talk about career advancement. We'll talk about kindness and how this fits into the kindness model. So, and of course, we'll talk about how all of this connects to our 6 strings: self-awareness, kindness, curiosity, growth, and what did I miss? Self-awareness, kindness, curiosity, growth, I said self-awareness. What am I doing? All right. Vulnerability, that's the strings. When those strings are tight, they resonate. All right. Emotional intelligence is absolutely what we're talking about here. Euro Scott, thanks again for joining. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here's what I want you to try today. Try it. Try to practice a little operational vulnerability. Say, I don't know. I need help. That was my mistake. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Just be simple, because when you lower your armor, your emotion, you lower the emotional temperature in the room. Because trust is not about talent. It's about intention. It's about alignment, and it's about vulnerability. You can have a team full of stars, but without that relational trust, they orbit in separate directions all over. Absolutely. Remember, trust is the foundation, but it's not just the foundation. It's freedom and growth for you and your organizations. So come on back tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on Kindness Rising. And until then, stay uncommon and stay kind. What if your mornings could be inspiring and ridiculously fun?
Kindness Rising isn't just a show, it's a full wake-up vibe.
It's freaking fun, people.
Yeah, man, it's got real get-after-it energy.
I love it.
Wake up with Kindness Rising.
I help purpose-driven people grow their impact. 5-ingredient recipe to help you build your personal brand. Get out there and take kind action.
If it's live, they'll feel it.
On Kindness Rising, we bring you proven strategies and fresh ideas you can actually use. If you're not failing, you're not trying.
Exactly. Fail fast, rebound faster.
You'll see the bloopers and the genuine connections that make kindness contagious. We sometimes get into a little bit of trouble.
Pretty much my life made the list.
You can trust what you see right here is honest, respectful, and uplifting. Social impact organizations, and we always talk about them. Try kindness. It's way cheaper than therapy. You just made my day.